Alright guys, so I thought this would be a fun crossover to do. I was kind of in a Code Lyoko mood, and I was like, you know what? I think this would be pretty fun if I did a Code Lyoko crossover with Ninja Turtles. I thought that'd be pretty fun. So yeah, this was the product of that idea. So let's get started with this story. So this story basically begins as just a normal day in New York City. The Turtles are actually, instead of going out into the city, they're actually going further into the tunnels. You see, after a recent attack by the Mousers, the Ninja Turtles the Turtles, Splinter, and Casey and April are basically all just kind of like, we need to basically figure out if there's any like tunnels that we need to map every tunnel, because we got surprised by the Mousers last time, and next time it could be the Foot Clan or the Rat King or even Krang that shows up on our doorstep. We need to be like prepared for, you know, anything, so we need to map these tunnels. So meanwhile, Mikey's just kind of fucking around and just like, there's no way I could be surprised by anything. And as he's leaning on a wall, it caves in and he falls through. Typical Mikey fashion. The Turtles run over to go check on their brother, and what they find is a large computer, is this massive computer, and it's also got 4 teleporters as well. And they're like, that's unusual. They're just like, that is unusual for us. Meanwhile, the Lyoko warriors are actually in Lyoko, stopping a latest plot by XANA, and they're battling them, and immediately the monsters have like checked out. Like, they immediately stop for a second, and then they leave. Like, they just go away. And Jeremy and everyone's like, well, that was weird. Is this another attack? Is this one of XANA's plots? And Jeremy's like, you know, I don't know, but I'm getting like this weird signal coming from the computer. Like, there's this weird thing going, Project X1 is online. I'm getting this weird message on my computer, like, Project X1 is online. Reason being it's saying that is because, of course, the Turtles are back in New York fucking around with this computer. Like, Donnie's already like, hey, if it's a computer, I can do stuff with it. And he's like, well, this makes no sense. All of this stuff is pretty, you know, advanced, but at the same time, this looks like stuff that came from the late 80s. Like, this is like mid to late 80s level technology, but we're dealing with a lot here, and it looks operational. And Donnie's like, I could get it online, and at the same time, Leonardo and Splinter are like, maybe not, because we could, what if this is like some computer that can that it like Baxter used, or it could, you know, who knows what's on the other end of the line. And Raphael kind of counters with, well, it's kind of sitting here, maybe we should at least figure out who could be watching in on us, you know. And he's like, huh. And Leo's like, that's a really good idea, Raph, that's above you usually just break it. If I did try to break it, Donnie would never let me hear the end of it. Donnie's just like, he's right, I wouldn't. So what happens is that as Donnie is poking around on there, he actually like intercepts a code from Jeremy, who's also examining this, and Donnie and Jeremy are kind of like having a cyber war, like a cyber counter warfare between each other, because Jeremy's trying to figure out where this other signal's coming from. Donatello is also trying to get it. He knows it's like, I think I traced it all the way to France. And he's like, what? Okay. And Raphael, who's just like had enough of this, he's just like, okay, let me get this straight. We have a computer somewhere in our sewer, and it's connected to France. And Donatello's like, huh? Parlez-vous français? So what happens next is that Donnie hits the recall. Like, he's like, well, maybe I can recall the code and back here and trace it back here, not knowing that's about to happen. So what he does is hit the recall button and actually pulls the Lyoko warriors out of Lyoko and into New York. They Odd, Aelita, Yumi, and Ulrich are all pulled not to Paris but directly to New York, and this is where we get our obligatory fight. This is exactly where we get our obligatory fight scene. Because yeah, they all face off. You have like Mikey take on Odd. You have Donnie taking on Aelita. You have Ulrich fighting Raphael, and Leo taking on Yumi. Now, like, this is a part of the series where they still can use their powers outside of Lyoko, and it's like, oh shit, they, like, these guys have got superpowers, and they came out of the tubes, and they're like, you're giant mutant freaks, are you guys, like, obviously they think they're like new monsters from XANA, like, did he mutate turtles or something? I don't know what's going on. Eventually, like, they all, of course, calm down, and everyone's like, okay, start from the beginning. And they're like, Ulrich goes, you guys first. And Raphael's like, nah, kid, you came into our house, you go first. And he's like, no, I want the talking turtles to kind of, there's a lot more to unpack with that. And that's when Splinter shows up. He's like, perhaps I can be of assistance in answering. Holy shit, a talking rat! So Splinter explains the whole the origin of the turtles, the whole thing with being Hamato Yoshi, being mutated, and raising the turtles as his sons, all of that. And Odd thinks it's kind of funny because he's like, I always heard a rumor about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in New York, but I never thought it'd be like, I always heard as a rumor, a conspiracy theory, but I never thought it'd be real. This is kind of cool. Maybe that means the gargoyles and that dragon in New York are pretty real too. And of course Raph is like, gargoyles, dragon, kid, you gotta get your head out of those cartoons. But anyway, so Jeremy finally gets in contact with them. With Donnie helps them get back in touch with Jeremy, and they're like, "Hey, we're fine, but we're in New York City. We're in New York, and we got some new friends. We got some new people to hang out with us." And yeah, so as Jeremy and Donnie are like more or less working online to kind of figure out what is actually going on. It turns out that this is the X1 program. What is X1? The X1 was basically something created by the Manhattan Project. In here, the Manhattan Projects didn't stop with Fat Boy and Little Man. They were more or less moving beyond that. Like, they were really super secret company. They went really underground. They didn't stop with the atom bombs. Throughout history, they've been building, new kinds of technology for warfare throughout time, throughout history. And guess who's a part of that, who became a part of that group? Franz motherfucking Hopper. So Franz Hopper, along with a group of scientists, helped create a new AI that would help the UN combat terrorist threats. XANA. Unfortunately, XANA went pretty Skynet on them, and they more or less created a way to try to XANA was building machines, and it was more or less like a shadow war for a while between XANA and the Manhattan Project. And what happened eventually was that XANA, they had to build a way to fight XANA on his own terms. So that was lead to the X1 program, creating the first pathway to Lyoko. But it was a prototype, and it wasn't until later that they would build the real supercomputer that is in Paris and lead to other events there. And Aguda's like, well, that's a lot to intake. I'm going to have to deal with that. So at this point, it's like, well, maybe we can just go back to Paris from there. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a problem. See, remember when I said XANA recalled all of his basically recalled all of his monsters before everything went sideways? Yeah, XANA had to rethink his strategy, because now that he's realized that the X1 program is still operational, he's like, I can't have that shit on. I need the other, it's not connected to the core, like the supercomputer in Paris is, so I can sure as shit break this one. I can't have these, whatever the hell they are, breaking in there as well. So what XANA does is he actually possesses Baxter Stockman. He possesses Baxter Stockman and helps him build new kinds of Mausers to like unleash on the Lyoko warriors and the turtles. And he even like uses his machinations to create Mausers in Paris, so he can unleash them to go attack Jeremy. Because then he realizes Jeremy's all by himself. He doesn't have anyone guarding him. Oh boy! So yeah, he's like, it's a zippity-doo-dah day. I'm gonna kill Jeremy and take out the X1 program. I'm gonna fucking kill a lot of people today. So, so the Mausers are being built in Paris, and they're like, oh shit. Like, Jeremy barricades himself and holds off for a little bit, but he tells them, guys, there's these weird robots that look like Pokemon attacking me. I need help. I need you to recall here. And they're like, yeah, we can do that, but like, the Ninja Turtles are like, oh shit, those are Mausers. We know what those are. You can bring it, and we can get back. But we need to have a two-pronged attack against XANA and protect Jeremy. So they come up with a plan. So the Turtles and the Lyoko warriors come up with a plan. The plan is they're going to split up their forces. Mikey, Odd, Donnie, and Aelita are going to go to Paris. They're going to go back to Paris via the teleporters and the transporters, and go back to Paris. Meanwhile, Raph, Ulrich, Yumi, and Leo are going to go to Lyoko. So yes, we get Lyoko Ninja Turtle Warriors. Unfortunately, during all of this, it kind of goes a little sideways, because what happens is the Lyoko Warriors get to Paris. All of them do, but they're like, well, where are the Turtles? The Turtles are in Lyoko, and immediately Mikey's like, oh man, not the virtual reality again. Oh, come on. So Jeremy has to walk them through fighting through Lyoko, and Raphael goes, hey Jeremy, these monsters here, you guys got a no-kill rule? And he's like, no. Good. So the Turtles just go, and also they get like they don't get like abilities like the same way the Lyoko Warriors do. However, their weapons get like new enhancements. Like Donatello can actually use his staff to create like a shockwave when he hits it on the ground. Leonardo's swords are actually able to cut through even like the toughest material. Raphael's sais can now like ricochet like bulls, like if he was throwing them like bullseye. Michelangelo's nunchucks, his nunchucks can now like extend even further, and he can use them like a chain to swing. So while they're while the Turtles are battling in Lyoko, the Warriors, however, are protecting Jeremy from the Mausers. Eventually, they have to send Aelita through, deactivate the tower. That's it. So yeah. So by the end of it, the Turtles are back in New York, and they're like, "Hey, it was nice meeting you guys. You guys were as cool as the Power Rangers." And they're like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Till next time, guys." So there you go. There is my Ninja Turtle Code Lyoko crossover. I have kind of contemplating of using this for the Infinityverse, the shared fanfiction universe that me and my friend Jason Voorhees 2011 are doing, and that was kind of the plot. So I might migrate that story there to the fanfiction universe, which again I know is kind of slow, but you got to remember the new Dark Phoenix chapter is taking a very long time. We want to get it out before the end of the year, though. Plus, we have our own lives, and we're not getting paid for this. But yeah. So there you go, guys. You guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this Code Lyoko Ninja Turtle crossover? Just comment below, let me know, and if this does well, maybe I'll do a sequel. But yeah. So anyway, other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.